See, the class is it's not just where we dictate anything. So is there anybody that have any questions or something they wanted to ask before we get started on this particular topic? Because sometimes those things are the things that's most needed, because you'll find that people are having the same concerns or issues. We have people online that can text in questions, and we answer those also. If the person taking the question don't already have the answer and give it to them, they'll ask and we'll answer a question in the middle of us doing it. Islam.
There's a month on me today.
Islam. Brother been in a month. So who all remember when they was just here for a month? Had a lot of questions, huh? Don't worry about it, brother. It'll come. It'll come sooner or later. Just stay in there and learn as we go. Islam. Today, the first topic we're gonna have, we got two topics to get to. So the first topic is speech and self. That's what we're gonna speak about a little bit. If we're gonna read out of our Moorish literature, and it's on page 32 in our Moorish literature book. Page 32. And the topic is tongues. Who knows something about their tongue?
Could be dangerous.
It could be dangerous, the sister said. Anybody else? Go ahead.
Keep the tongue appropriate.
Yeah, keep it appropriate. Anybody else want to add anything about that tongue?
Be mindful of it. What you put out there, once it's out, that's it. It's out there.
Once it's out there, it's out there. You know, it's out there. You know, anybody ever had a problem with their tongue? Well, only a few people raising their hands. Some of y'all might need to take this seat. I ain't never had a problem with that tongue. This boy is
Islam. Before he go into that, you know, we have to be mindful that you heard on the job or places, they say, you know what, I'm not about to say it. You know what, I'm going to just say it. And they know it's going to be offensive.
Right.
So they prepare themselves in their mind to say something that's going to be crazy. And, you know, don't take any offense. What? Now, when you start out a sentence, don't take any offense.
Well, I don't mean nothing.
I don't really mean much by this,
I don't mean
but
let me tell you. Well, let me tell you one thing. When you hear those statements, you pretty much know what's coming. You know, so we have
a barrage of
a litany,
right?
a slew.
Said just one thing. That's 43.
And you know, our people can, or they can start cussing, especially if they come from New York. They can get going. When they say people from New York can do it and nobody can do it like that, believe that. They can cuss you out for 15 minutes straight and won't ever use the same word. You be like, how do you manage to do that? How do you keep your energy up high enough to go like that? They be going.
Yeah, it's like, how do you string those words together? I didn't know those went together like that.
It's amazing to hear. But the prophet has said this, is that one of the most difficult things in this world to get control of is the human tongue. Kipling never wrote anything more truer than when he wrote that. Man may hold most any post if he'll only hold his tongue. Before you set your tongue to action, get it under control. A single tongue can do more harm in the world than a battalion of soldiers. For soldiers can kill but bodies, while the tongue can kill reputations and character. Really, it is too bad that we have no laws to curb tongues from lying and scandalizing. We're going to pause right there for a minute. At present, there is no law to stop a person from lying. No, there's no law to stop him from lying. Now, if you have a post or office, you can't lie. So you actually have something in place to prevent that. But the average person, you can't just go and say, "Hey, he lied to me." Well, you should have checked. You should have researched the statements he made before you made your move. So there's no law against him lying to you. So, and then
did you check his references?
Right. Did you check his references? You find out, was he gonna be right or wrong or whatever? Did you look into the material that he was giving you? Did he provide it? And that's the only recourse you have. There's no court anywhere that's going to say, well, you know, we're going to enforce that. And the person can say, well, yeah, I did lie. You know, I did lie, you know, because I thought this and I thought that. Well, you can't really do nothing about lying. You should have investigate it a little further. And then like scandalizing. They even have movies now where they are what you call it, the what people are it's just reality shows. They have those where scandal is the call for the day. Who can make this most scandal? They don't have somebody on the show that's scandalous. The show is really no good. So they gotta have somebody on there. So it's like the call for the day. You know, you have to be scandalous to create interest. And so people take that to heart and they get out here in the world and try to be scandalous deliberately. You know, I said, no doubt you all have read the story of Lago, a character in one of Shakespeare's plays. When he powerfully pictured in the character of Lago the terrible consequences following the path of an evil tongue. Lago not only destroyed the reputation and pure character of Desdemona, but he finally, through Othello, killed her body. That's why I say, compel your tongue to speak helpful messages, or else keep it still. Now, who ever been in a situation where they was thinking, they wanted to say something, but in their mind they said, just don't say it. Just don't say it. Anybody ever been in that position? Yeah. And did you end up saying it anyway? Sometimes. Yeah. So that's the strength that we have to build up, that we do by building our character up. Because if we don't, we won't have the divine reasoning necessary to be able to control our tongue. Because we just gonna lash out. Somebody lash out to us, you ain't gonna keep on lashing out to me. Let me tell you about yourself. You know, the next thing you know, you caught up with them. You know, Islam.
Islam. And our prophet told us, he said, "My words are spirit, and you more is better heed." So after you've been around a while, and your thought charges your things that come out of your mouth, those are actually spirit. And if the actions that you do cause somebody to have a negative act, by what you do, you're casting them into something that you maybe should not be. So we have to think about that. We want to build them up and build up their character and not tear them down. You might be that moment or that day that you're out there in the community and this person is suicidal. And your action might be that thing that pushes them over the edge. We have to be conscious of that.
So again, he said, compel your tongue to speak helpful messages. Now, that statement alone, without the fact that we're talking about the tongue, is a thing that our people has to practice, because the prophet said we are to teach love, not hate. Learn to love instead of hate, meaning that we have been taught to hate. We've been educated to hate. So that's what we go around doing. Hey, we don't love. So when they say compel your tongue to speak helpful messages, we just need to practice that part. A lot of us just need to practice the part of saying something positive to people around us. You know, brother, you look nice today. You know, sister, you look nice today. Oh, you know, how's everything going? You know what I'm saying? Being interested in how a person is doing, feeling, you know, what they may need, may not need. Helping the person that you don't know, you see maybe having a problem or a situation. So we have to prepare ourselves to at least say that. So in order for you to get any better, you have to practice a thing before it will become your first nature. Right now it's being repressed. You don't even realize that you're not saying comforting or positive things to the people around you, to your mother, to your children. You know, like how many times do you tell your sister or brother, hey, I love you? You know, that's a problem. That's something, that's a positive message that you have to give. And if you don't practice it repetitively, you lose it. And it dulls down. You don't even pay attention that you're not saying comforting and reassuring things to your own children. You know,
Islam. Nowadays, in this polarizing atmosphere that we have in school shootings and things that are said in the internet, now some of those things just bounce off us. We should have compassion. But those things we say, another shooting, another one. 43 or 20 of them, You know, now those things become commonplace. They're not supposed to be commonplace. That's not supposed to be things that we that we look at and say that we don't have pity on human beings. We don't have pity on, are they souls in line? Are their minds in line? Because in these things, we are passing this stuff down generation to generation to generation, and it's becoming okay. But with us, it cannot be okay.
You'll even hear people go, well, that doesn't make any sense. She ain't no good or he ain't no good. They just don't feed that baby or nothing. That baby always look bad. But you'll walk past the baby. Don't feed them yourself. But you're talking about somebody else. Well, it's not my child, so I ain't got to feed him. You know, and that's where these statements that we're talking about come in to assist us at once we start practicing them. So if you say, hey, 3 times a day, I'm going to tell myself to say something positive to anybody that I run into at least 3 times a day. And what you'll find is that your personality will change. And people will respond to you differently. When you see somebody say, hey, how you doing? You're looking great today. You know what I'm saying? You just must be feeling good or something, huh? Yep. And you know, oh, okay, you take it easy, keep going. Now you got 2 more people to say something positive to the rest of the day. So once you start doing that, your personality will change. And you will be able to, it would make it easier for you to be able to control your tongue. Because your tongue is not used to saying things. It actually stops when you get ready to say something harsh. You be like, I ain't gonna say this, okay. You know, it'd be more like let me leave here. Let me leave here before I get into this. You know, so it says, so compel your tongue to speak helpful messages, or else keep it still. Make it a rule of your life to use your tongue for high purposes only. Resolve to speak of man or woman of no other way unless you speak of good qualities of that man or woman. So when you see someone and you see a good quality, you speak of it. If you don't, you know that there's a spirit in there. So you can tell them that, you know you have a spirit inside of you that's good. So no matter what I see, I still can say something good about everybody.
Words or spells.
Go ahead, sister.
Words or spells.
Words are spells. So, and people respond to them. When you say, hey, you got a spirit inside you and your spirit is good. So, oh, all right. See you later. We don't have to bite back, you know. And some people tend to confuse saying something nice to somebody or trying to find positive things to say to people with being weak. Somehow they think it's, but in actuality, that's the strength of you. It takes more strength to say the positive things, because now you have to make a change from what you've been taught to a more positive atmosphere. So to the point that when you see somebody and they're nice, you say they're just overly nice. Well, how could that be? You know what I'm saying? They're just too nice. Wow, you rather be mean then. You know, so that's an indication that I have been hardened by my society or my community, and I can't accept well-being. I can't accept nice things. You know? So once I start producing them things, then those things that come to me and I can accept them. People have been trying to be nice to you for probably all your life, and you haven't been able to be to receive it, let alone reciprocate. So people go, I don't know why this man left me. You mean? You know, I don't know. And this is a subject that comes up a lot when I'm talking to sisters, and they go, I don't know why these men get with white women. Well, their culture allows them to be nice. And a lot of them just be nicer than you be. So that's why they be over there. So, you know, but not to be that we can't deal with each other. But that's a lot of the reasons that I receive. You know, this ain't my first rodeo, you know, and I'm sure it ain't nobody else's. So we have to practice these things to become nice to each other, so we want to be around each other. At this particular time, we have more of our sisters now dating Europeans than we ever had. It's been acceptable now. You'll see it a lot more often. You know, why is that? They nice. I mean, talking about quit being soft. You know, what you mean? You gotta tell your woman to quit being soft. So these are things that's causing our problems. So we have to look deep inside of ourselves and practice. And this practice is us saying, I'm gonna 3 times a day, and I'm gonna ask when we come back next week, did anybody perform this thing? 3 times a day, you have to say something positive. You have to say something nice to at least 3 persons throughout the day, at least 3 times. Is that too difficult for anybody? That brother looked real mean right there. Just one for you. Just one. No, I'm just playing. You know, but you want to get 3 in. Islam, sister.
I was just gonna say it does make a difference because at my nursing school, the students really don't speak to each other or say hi. So I started saying hi, and you start to hear it more, and it's a nice thing. It lightens the mood. You know, people are more approachable when they speak to each other. Like, I don't know where this fear to open up and say hi to someone walking past you comes from, but it makes a difference.
Yeah, I definitely believe, because if you don't believe me, this is the most uncomfortable place for me to be in, is in the elevator, right? I'm uncomfortable. I'm in the elevator, nobody's talking, you know, nobody's saying nothing. Everybody's just looking up at that thing like that. It's just so that they don't have to look at each other. Because we close. Instead of saying, oh, how you doing? I'm great. How you doing? You know, you look nice. You know, okay, boom, we out of here. You know, no, we don't talk in the elevator. It's like a forbidden taboo or something. You just get on the elevator, you mind your own business. You know, but as soon as you speak to somebody, they speak back, and they just as comfortable as you are now. So I know what you're saying when you make that statement. So it says, no one ever gained happiness out of injuring the feelings or character of someone else. No one ever failed to get happiness by speaking well of other people. So, you know, nobody ever, you know, I couldn't get where I was going because I was being too nice. You know, if you nice, you ain't gonna make it. The good guys finish last, all that nonsense, you know. So learn as if you were to live forever. Live as if you were to die tomorrow. And that's the we're reading that out of our Moore's literature book. Anybody, anything anybody can add to that? Anything that anybody experienced that they want to add? As far as dealing with somebody saying nice things to them and they thought something was wrong with them, or they said nice things, you thought, hey, they trying to come on to me. You misunderstood or something. Go ahead, sister.
I think people are so used to cold shoulders, you know, they don't know how to accept when something positive come at them saying, you know, hello, or how are you doing? Or people having, you know, being genuine about their actions. And, you know, I know for a lot of my female friends, when they get a male, you know, that comes in as being over polite, or it feels like they're being over polite, it usually comes with something else fun behind it.
Right.
But usually I feel like that takes upon you to open that door or where to close that door off and just be genuine back, how you doing, and keep it pushing, you know. But I think it's a give and take situation.
Yeah, it is. It is. Go ahead, sister, right here.
Just going off of kind of like what she said, my mom always told me to like hi belongs to everybody, even if they don't say it back to you, like don't get offended. And I had a customer like come into my store one day, and I just spoke just like I speak to everybody else, and his face like lit up, and he was just like, my wife always tells me like I always speak to people, and like I'm too nice, and he was like, people normally don't speak back, but you really just made my day because you're so nice, blah blah blah. And all I do is say hi. And like, you know, just basically like the small stuff really matters, even when you don't think of it.
Right. Anybody else?
I think accountability starts with us to speak and say hi to somebody when you passing them. Be accountable for yourself, at least.
Right. And people, it grows as you start seeing the same people, and they know that you're going to say hi. They're going to be expecting it. You know, they're going to sometimes beat you to the punch, or you know, or something to that effect. So yeah, it does has a bearing on who you're saying, and also when you're talking to somebody, you being nice, and you feel as though okay, they kind of was being nice and they're trying to come on to you. You could just simply straighten them out by saying, you know, no, I think that's going a little bit too far, you know, with that. So I'm not interested in any of that at all. So let's just cut that out. But other than that, you know, fine. How's everything going with you? Just go right on into it. Just nip it in the bud. Because you'll have people that say the darndest things to you. You'll be surprised, you know. But as you being nice, but we have to build it. We have to build that up with our people. If we don't do it, it's not going to happen. If we don't feel as though saying something nice to someone is going to change their outlook, you know, then we're not going to practice it. And then they're not going to practice it. We're going to stay in this defeated, dead, downtrodden, sinful place. Islam? And, we got one more thing along these lines that is going to be, that'll help us a little bit with this. And this is in chapter 42. Chapter 42 of the Holy Quran, or Scientific of America, Holy Quran. You got that? Let's go to 42, which is 36. Okay, this is on page 52. And we're going to go down to 14. So page 52. Got it? Number 14 right there. We'll start reading. It says, Allah has given thee no good without its admixture of evil, but he has given thee also the means of throwing off the evil from it. So do anybody have any thoughts about that statement? I'll read it again. Allah has given thee no good without his admixture of evil, but he has given thee also the means of throwing off the evil from it. Anybody? There's no wrong or right answer. It's just what's your thoughts? It said Allah has given no good without his admixture of evil.
If I'm understanding correctly, it kind of reminds me of yin and yang. You have your positive and your negative, and it comes to balance each other out.
Islam. Anybody else? The higher self and lower self, the brother said. Anybody else?
Islam. So it says in one of our other chapters that man was given a foe. And the reason man had to have a foe was because he wouldn't bring out the best in himself without a foe. So every man was given a foe. And I use it as an additive thing if we talk about a gas can. You have a gas can. And people use a gas can because you run out of gas and you're on the highway and you need to put some gas in your vehicle, right? But there's other uses that people use a gas can for, right? They might use that to commit arson. See, so the man who has a tainted thought has a different idea of what the purpose of the gas can is for.
Good example. So everything has this bit of evil. So when the law says Allah has given thee no good, so there's nothing that Allah has given you that is perfectly pure. No situation that you're going to run into is going to be perfectly set for you to just do good. If you go through it and did good, that means you already conquered that evil. So when you faced with a situation where somebody is yelling in your face and you turn around and walk the other way, that situation was in your face and you turned around and walked the other way, you've already conquered that evil. That's why you responded like that. The same thing is if you say, hey man, look, I found $1,000 right here. You know the lady just dropped it out of her purse, leaving out the bank. She dropped her envelope, boom, it's $1,000. You found it. You know what I'm saying? But you catch up with her and go, here, I think you dropped this. She, oh, praise God. Thank God you don't gave me this money. That's all my bill money. You know? So you've already conquered that evil. It was good. You got $1,000. And I picked it up. I didn't take it from her. But see, you conquered that. So it wasn't there. The next man did not. He picked it up and pocketed it. He hasn't conquered that yet. So that good is also evil involved with it. Because now that woman, from his actions, that woman can't pay her rent. She can't pay her car note. Kids might be out of school. We don't know what's going to happen. But he didn't conquer that yet. So every action that you involved in has a balance. And it's up to us to decide what part of it we don't win. Like when you get in a relationship, when you get out of a relationship, at the end of it, it's terrible. You know what I'm saying? It's fun at the beginning, wonderful, all these great thoughts. At the end, it's terrible. You know, no, you can't see no good in it. It's like, this is just terrible. That's all you can say. Mobile for 3 or 4 days, a month, 3 months, 6 months. I ain't talking to no more women. That's it. It's over with. I'm done. You know, I imagine that's why some guys just said, I'm gay from now on. I'm just joking. It's just a joke. But it's a terrible feeling. It's a terrible feeling at the end of the relationship. So people tend to, you know, want to avoid that particular thing. You know, but after that goes and some time go by and you realize the faults that you had in the relationship, the things that you've done, the things that you recognize that you never spoke about, you're talking to other people and you're learning more about yourself, you come to a point to where you realize that you've learned a lot of things. So in the bad was the good. Now you feel like, I'm gonna try again and I'm gonna do a bang up job this time because I'm more prepared. I know what to watch out for. I know how to treat a woman. I know how to do these things to stay consistent and all of these things that I need to do. So now I just need to work on this, work on that. You know what I'm saying? So these are the things that you learn even from bad things, right? So I'm gonna keep reading unless somebody have anything they want to add to that. 15, as joy is not without its alloy of pain, so neither is sorrow without its protection of pleasure. Joy and grief, though unlike, are united. Our own choice only can give them to us entirely. So they're saying in here that that when you have pain or you have sorrow, it's not without its pleasure. So when you have something that's caused you to be sad, there's some pleasure that's going to be in there. But it's up to you to be able to see. Like I said, after the end of the relationship, you realize that you learned a lot of things. So at the end of the relationship, that reality was still there. It's just you hadn't made it there yet. You only see the bad. You don't see none of the good that's going to come from it. And it's difficult for us to hear. That's why we have to be around each other to say, you know, I know it's kind of soon, but you're going to be able to learn from this and get a better wife. You're going to be able to learn from this and get a better husband. You know what I'm saying? You're going to be able to you're going to become a better, stronger person from this. Because if we don't, we're going to be around people that's going to tell us, girl, he ain't no good, no way. He didn't deserve you, no way. Ain't going to say nothing about how you were screwing up. You know what I'm saying? Oh, yeah, man, you did. And you know what? She wasn't no good, no way. You know what I'm saying? You come on, man, let's go shoot pool. We'll talk about this, you know. So we don't get these people in our ear that's going to tell us the positive things that we need to hear. Along the line, we read about our tongues, because our tongues is used to assist one another. Our tongues is used to assist one another. So it says, so our own choice only can give them to us entirely. So that's what that means, that if I just choose to see the negative part of it, that's the only way that it can be all negative. Because Allah will not provide for me a totally negative aspect of anything. It has both aspects in it every time. And it's my choice. So it's up to me to just choose the negative aspect. Or it's up to me to choose the positive aspect. Because I know both are there. You know, because Allah has nothing but truth for us. Islam? And 16, melancholy itself often giveth delight, and the extremity of joys are mingled with tears. So in other words, you can have somebody so happy that they'll be crying. See, wait a minute, what's going on? Some people will be, you know what I mean? They'll be crying, but you looking like, hey, what's wrong? No, I'm happy. It's tears of joy. Tears of joy. Get out of it. So blended is weakness in thy nature, O man, that thou hast not strength either to be good nor to be evil entirely. So he's telling us that we don't have the power to be entirely good or entirely evil. We have to remain balanced for that reason, because we can't be one or the other. We can't just be totally all good. So if somebody run around and say, I don't never do no wrong, you know, I know a lot of sisters like that. I'm just playing. They just look at me like, wait, hold on now. But you know, it's people out there like that saying that they don't do no wrong. You know, it was all his fault. It was all her fault. You know, no, you had some part to play in it now. It says, rejoice that thou canst not excel in evil, and let the good that is within thy reach content thee. What does that mean? The good that is in thy reach content thee.
Good things.
Islam. So that goes back to the lesson that says that every man is given to him his portion. So a lot of times we've thought about, well, if I had this, well, I could really do something if I had that. But you can only be content with what Allah has given you to do the job that you're given. So you're not going to get, if Allah gave Ish here $40 million.
I can't loan you nothing, bro.
Oh man, see, he already started now before you even get to 40 million. But he's going to give to you the portion that you need to do the job he has assigned you to. I spoke in the past about be where Allah puts you to do the job you're supposed to be doing. So a lot of times he gives you this and say, you know, hey, do that. One of the common things, and I've done it for years, I have neighbors on both sides of me, and I always use the snow blower and blow their snow. My other neighbor said, why you do that? One day it's going to blow up. It's not going to work for you. Well, one of my snow blowers went out. I said, oh, man, I got to spend this money and get another snow blower because I need to do mine. And she can't get out and do hers. So I said, that's all right. I got to go to work. And I went to work a different way than what I usually go. And I drove by a pawn shop and I said, that's almost like my snow blower. And I pulled in there and he said, yeah, we just put that out. What you want for it? I got it in my pocket. I'll take that. Threw it in the trunk and kept going to work. Because that was a blessing for me to go that way. Right? So we got to be at the places where we're supposed to be when we're supposed to do that. I'm thinking to myself, how am I going to spend another $400 and get a snowblower? I need one. I could use one. So when we're not selfish in our thoughts what we're going to do with these things, you're going to be blessed with it. But if you're going to be selfish with it, it may not come your way.
And that's what it is. You have to be content with the amount of good that you can do with what you have. You can't go and say, hey, I'm waiting to get this so that I can do the good deed. I can't do the good deed because I don't have this. You know, I wanna, when I get this big check, I'm gonna give some money to the temple. That's the big one. I hear that all the time. I'm waiting. I got a settlement coming. I'm about that temple about to be good. But what happened to your check last week, bro? Did you give out the 2.5% out of that? No, I didn't do it. But you know, it was only like $40, bro. You made $450. And you got $40 for the temple? No. But we got to be content, and that suffices our spirit. That little bit of action suffices our spirit. Those big things don't really do anything for you. The little consistent things are the things that help your spirit develop into the person. Just like I said, you say once a day a nice thing to people for the next week, it'll start becoming a habit. And that's the thing that causes our spirits to grow. Not, you know, hey, I got a big settlement and here go, you know, $4,000. Okay. But what you gonna do the next 10 months? Nothing. So you're gonna get a habit of doing nothing. And that doesn't help your spirit. You know, it doesn't help your spirit. You may have helped the temple, but you didn't help yourself. The giving of things is not for it's not for the temple as much as it's for you. But the only way the temple is alive because we're in it. Islam. Let me. So what in essence what he's saying is the problem that's in the community. So you get into a habit of saying, and we use it as an excuse, I'll wait till I get this, which is going to put you in a situation to always be waiting, right? So now I'll just wait. If I had some astronaut, if I had $80,000, I'd give some away. But you know you're not going to get it in 1 month. So now you're not obligated to do anything. Well, I told you when I get that 80,000, I got you.
I got you 400 when I get this 80,000. And it
never
never come. And it'll never come. So now I can just wait, and that'll keep him at bay. But that's not how we're supposed to operate. As we get a little bit, it's going to grow.
So anybody got anything else? So that ties into the development of our tongue and our decision making. That we have to be prepared that we are not all good, we're not all bad. We have to have a balance. And with our tongue, we have to do the same thing. Right now, our tongue is unbalanced because we haven't built up the spiritual authority in ourselves to be able to repress it, to hold it down, or to reason with a higher thought, to keep it level. So that's what we have to do. We have to realize that we're not all bad, we're not all good. We're gonna make mistakes, but let us not complicate those mistakes with our tongue. Islam, I made the mistake. Have you ever done something you're wrong, but somebody got on your nerves so bad, talk to you, just say forget it. I'm cussing them out anyway, even though I'm wrong. You know what I'm saying? So that kind of stuff we gotta try to steer clear of. Not that it's easy, but we might be somebody that people say, hey, they hot-headed. He's a hot-headed person. So you just have to do better. Like I did better each time. It took me, 2 minutes before I went off. Now I'm up to 15 minutes before I go off. I'm looking at the clock. I made it to 18. Let me tell you about yourself. Eventually, but we gotta make some progress. We gotta continue to make progress. Islam. Go.
Keep reverting back to step one. Islam. Hey,
keep it moving.
You know what? I'm gonna go back a step for this, but I'll start over.
I made it in 18 minutes. I'm doing good. Islam. Well, we're gonna move on to our next topic, which is prophet in the temple. Prophet in the temple. Now, this topic is of importance because a lot of people, we have a lot of questions that occur from people being following Noble Drew Ali. They're followers of Noble Drew Ali, and they say that they are followers of Noble Drew Ali, and they do what Noble Drew Ali said do. However, they're in different organizations, and you wonder, how is that possible? What's going on with that? Are they in fact doing it? Because is it my job to ensure that people lose their own understanding and bend to mine? No, it's not. That's not what I'm here for. That's from their understanding that they do that. And this is from mine. And this is from his. And this is from the Supreme Grand Sheik, how he explained these things to us. And we're going to go into a little bit of that to give some light to it. Because I'm knowing that, we starting to get bigger. We get more and more people. We get more and more people online. So, and you run into more people that say, well, hey, I'm a Moorish American. And you're trying to make sense out of it. So this will give you a general idea of where that's at. Now, I'm going to start in our Moorish literature book again. On page 14. Now, this is something we read. Actually, in fact, we did not even read it. So, well, we're going to read it now. This is the Prophet warns all Muslims to be read in every meeting. I hereby inform all members that they must end all radical speeches while at work, in their homes, or on the streets. We are for peace and not destruction. Stop flashing your cards at Europeans. It causes confusion. Remember, your card is for your salvation. Failure to obey these orders will be of severe consequences. We are for love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And when these principles are violated, justice must then take its course. Any member or group of members who hold malicious feelings toward the temple or the prophet. Now, he said that is there any malicious intent towards the temple or what?
Or the prophet.
Or the prophet. Why do you think he had them two things together like that? Why is it that he's saying that if you say something bad about the temple or you say something bad about the prophet, it seems to be paired together?
Because they're together. They're one.
So anybody else? Islam. There it is. Your brother said the prophet ain't right, the temple ain't right. One begets the other. So we had that there. They said, so he says now, malicious feelings toward the temple or the prophet, or violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement will receive their reward from Allah for their unjust deeds. So this Moorish movement, he's saying, what you hear people saying, is a divine covenant. It's a divine covenant. And he's displayed that the temple and the prophet is the path that's taken for this divine movement. All right? This divine Moorish movement. And he says, all true Moors will and must obey the law as laid down to them by their prophet. So what if a Mo don't follow what the prophet said? And I ain't following no prophet. That's not a true Moor, Islam.
You got to take off your stuff
You should say it again.
and make you take off everything.
Well, he said turn it in if you don't want to. So they can't make you do nothing. Like you shouldn't go around trying to make nobody do nothing. That's not appropriate. That's not something that you should be doing. Islam.
But Islam, those other agencies and people out there will definitely test your skills to see if you up to par. They may willingly take that stuff.
Right. They may see if you are aware of what you're supposed to be aware of. Islam. So he say, all true Moors will and must obey the law as laid down to them by their prophet. So that law is we read it every time we're in here. The basis of it is our bylaws, our constitution and our bylaws. That's why it's read in every meeting. If I go to New York and go to every meeting, if I go to Atlanta, if I go to Chicago, it doesn't matter. They're going to read them laws every time like clockwork. So you can't say that you didn't know what the laws are. It don't make sense. You know, you hear it every day. Little baby here too. So it says if they lose confidence, they say all true Moors will and must. He said now true Moor will. He already got it done because he must obey the law as laid down to them by their prophet. If they lose confidence in their prophet, they should turn in their card and button, cease wearing their turban and fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. So what is he saying here? The brother said that, they should take off their stuff. All right. If they don't want to follow the laws, but what is the prophet saying when he say, return back to the state where I found you? That mean they had to go back to Iowa? Go ahead, brother, right here. Operating as a straw man, what you say?
Just returning back to the previous state of mind.
Previous state of mind, anybody else? The sister?
Islam, what was that previous state of mind?
Before
By your slave name.
It's even further than that. What was your previous state of mind?
just
Before the prophet found you.
the Negro state of mind.
Right. What's sister saying? Go ahead.
Considering yourself
There it is.
There it is. So in terms, just so you will get it, in a bigger, spiritually bankrupt and morally bankrupt. Done. You heard the turn. It's over. Okay. So you was back in comatose when you were wandering around, not knowing who you were, where you were supposed to be doing, what the law was, and you were not abiding by anything. You were lawless, stateless beings, unaccepted by any group. No one will claim you.
No love. So it says, so he said, return back to the state I found you. So, and then it said, this is a holy and divine movement founded by the prophet Noble Jew Ali. And if the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. And that's what the brother just said. Now, again, the pairing of the two happens. He said, if the prophet is not right, then what? The two things are paired again. So if you following the prophet, where you going to be at?
Temple.
In the temple. Because if you're not in the temple, then you apparently took off your fez, took off your turban, took your button away, and you went back to the state from which the prophet had found you.
So, and the prophet also said that there is one temple and it is mine. So there's only one temple, and it's the prophet. So Noble Jew Ali is the founder of the Moorish Science Temple of America. You'll see it on the document, 1913. It's his temple.
Islam. So it say the prophet is not right. I actually got up wrong. I meant to. Let's do this now. It has it right here. When you open up your Holy Quran, this was the first thing you're supposed to see. So Noble Drew Ali, the prophet and founder of the Moorish Science Temple of America, to redeem the people from their sinful ways. So that gives you the first clue of the two being together. You know, you always see it together like that. Now it says, so the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. The prophet therefore is sending out the divine plea to all Moorish Americans that they do their part in protecting their prophet and the temple. Again, there's the pairing of the two. Protect the prophet, don't worry about the temple. Just protect the prophet. Did he say that? He said all Moorish Americans to do their part in protecting what? The prophet and the temple. So how can you be saying you following the teachings of Noble Drew Ali, but you're not in the temple? Do that mean this is a bad person or he's not doing no good? No, it's not saying that. I'm only saying that from my understanding, the prophet relays the prophet and his teachings to the temple. So that's where a Moorish American should be at, right? Because this is our earthly salvation. So he rightfully put it in here. And he says, this is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sinful ways. Peace. So this is the prophet making this clear to us. So that's what we know we need to be doing. So if we talking to people and they saying they doing this, they doing it, they outside the temple, we don't have to be confused, nor do we need to have an argument with them. Because we know where we're at, we know why we're here. And we can look, we can research to where we say we're at. And if you having this conversation or this dialogue, you can go in and you can say, you know, the prophet always mentions the prophet and the temple. He said protect the prophet and the temple. So if somebody is talking about the temple, they're talking about the prophet. If they're talking about the prophet, they're talking about your temple. So ultimately, they're going to be doing what? Talking about you. Simple as that. So really ain't a lot of middle ground in here. So we're going to go to our, back to our Holy Quran. We're going to go to 48, my bad. On page 59. Everybody there? 48 on page 59. We go to number 4. All right, we go to number 4. It says the Moorish Science Temple of America is a lawfully chartered and incorporated organization. Any subordinate temple that desires to receive a charter, the prophet has them to issue to every state throughout the United States. So the Moorish Science Temple, you get a charter from who for the Moorish Science Temple? The prophet. So the prophet is the one that's giving you the authority to be able to do it. Do anybody know what a charter is? Can we break that down? Yeah, that's the charter, but do we know what the charter is? Can we look it up? Let's look up charter. Go ahead, sister.
Written instrument executed with usual forms, giving us evidence of a grant, contract, or whatever is done between man and man. And in its more usual sense, it is the instrument of a grant conferring powers, rights, and privileges, either from a king or other sovereign power, or from a private person, as a charter of exemption that no person shall be impaneled on a jury, a charter of pardon.
That's enough. That's good. The point is that the charter is given the authority, and the authority is derived from somewhere. So this authority is derived from the prophet for the temple. So when you charter with the authority, you don't lose that authority because it came from God through the prophet to the temple, and now you have it. Islam? So when you're dealing with the temple and the prophet, it's not separated. It's not a separation between the two. You can't go, hey, I'm in the temple, but I don't listen to the prophet. Hey, I'm listening to the prophet, but I don't do the temple. I don't do temples. No, bro, I don't do temples. I don't do that. I'm saying, hey, now and then, but I don't really do that. That ain't me. I don't know what you're doing, but okay, bro. You know what I'm saying? Because that ain't what the prophet said. He said we do temples. We don't do churches. We don't do synagogues. We do temples. Islam.
Okay.
So now we're gonna go back to our. Just got a couple more minutes here. We'll go back to our Moorish literature, and we're gonna go to page 23. Just to make sure we're clear on this. I don't know nobody wondering why other people ain't. On page 23, up towards the top, it's like the third line down from the top of the page. On page 23, it says, all authority and power of the Moorish Science Temple of America is vested in the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Now, we just read in our Quran that it's chartered. And in our Moorish literature, it tells us again, all the power is in the, all the authority, all authority and power of the Moorish Science Temple of America. So how can the Moorish Science Temple of America exist without the prophet giving it the authority to exist? It can't happen. So the prophet gave us what we need, and we can't separate the two. So we have to be clear that where we're supposed to be if we following the prophet. Islam?
Islam.
Any questions? Anybody had any of these points came up to anybody? Or was it some curiosity that you had concerning different groups and things of that nature?
Let me
The brother in the back, go ahead.
So I got a question. All right, there's 1,000 different Moorish groups out there.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody is like, I'm trying to understand. I know where I need to be because I've done my research. But why can't as Moorish people we all come together as one government? Why do we have so many different like sects, like the Republic, the USAR, and all the different sects of Moorish, religion? Like, why do they split like that? Why don't they come together, as the literature says, like what's stopping us from coming together as one instead of like several different sects? Like, is it a selfish thing? Is it a
Well, some of it can be selfishness. Some of it can be the thrive to want to be in front, the thrive to want to create your own. All of those things can be possible, but there's nothing particularly wrong with that because it's to a person's comprehension that they decide to do a thing. So they're going away. The purpose of the conversation today is to say that, okay, this is what the prophet said, and this is what its meaning is, that you're in the temple. Now, that's not to say that somebody is not in the temple, somehow they're not a Moor. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that. You know what I'm saying? I'm saying that he said the faithful Moors in our thing, they're gonna be here, they're gonna make their meetings. So that's what we're speaking about. Now, when you look at the different sects of Muslims, Moorish Muslims, then you're looking at what here in this North American continent, so to speak, is different groups of individuals that were nations that existed. The Moors brought continuity to that. So when the Moors set up and things began to run smoothly, the government was set up by the Moorish Americans. That's what we do. And so the Moorish Empire is here. An empire means that there's many nations in one group. So the Moorish Empire consists of all of the groups that you're talking about, and then some. So it's not that we in a position to want to try to control somebody's feeling of where they nationally come from or what their national heritage may be, how they want to articulate that natural heritage. That's not our position. But however, we want that nation to come into the fold so that we can strengthen ourselves as a whole. you know, and what benefits it may have for us to come together. As we begin to grow greater, we will be able to provide more benefit to each other by coming together, and then thus we'll grow as a whole. But it's always been that way. The Moors always been that way. All of the fights that you hear about, 1812 and all that, them were different nations fighting under the Moorish banner of the Moorish Empire to fight away the colonists. You know, so that was going on at a consistent pace. Islam? The sister, did you have some sister? Okay, go ahead.
Islam, let me read a little section. This will clarify that, and we're almost to the end. It said, the heads of all temples are to by force refrain from all wrath, words, profanity, in the mildest form from its members. They must live the life of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and refrain from all alcoholic liquors or any other harmful things that will terminate to destroy peace or any other of the divine principles. They're not to contribute to anything that will cause the public to disagree with he or she. And for one to lead a group of Moors, you must keep your house clean with good deeds, kind words. Your wise brothers must hear good words, kind words, and must know of your good deeds. If there are any children, you must see to their support. Follow this divine principle, for if you do not restrict to this divine principle, then you are not a true Moor. And the heads are not to charge for membership or to overcharge for cards, buttons, or anything issued by the prophet. Those who contribute to either of the proceeding are not Moors but robbers. All right, so he clarified it right there. These people that contribute to all other things that harm the Moorish Science Temple of America or the prophet, those are robbers. He made it clear. He didn't mix words. He didn't try to make people feel good. He said, if you seek to tear up the divine principles that he has set, he classified you as a robber. Islam?
We have one more statement, and then we're going to get ready to close out. It's in our Moorish literature again, and it's page 34. We're going towards the bottom of the page. Oh, I'm sorry, towards the middle of the page. You'll see where it says Islam right there. 4 lines down from Islam, you'll see where it says, but now, since they have found out from the government officials and the nations of the earth that this is the only sole foundation that all Asiatics must depend upon for their earthly salvation as American citizens. He said, so it was people coming against the prophet, and they went to try to find out what he was saying and was it true. And they went to the government officials and asked them, and they gave them a reply. You know, so he was providing for you the soul. That means it. That's it. Our souls are one in this instance of him speaking. That we as a soul of people got one method. He said the Asiatics must depend upon for their earthly salvation as American citizens. So for us to have an earthly salvation, socially, politically, economically, that's earthly. Was to have salvation in that arena, he says the way to do that is through the Moorish Science Temple of America. So
I just dropped the mic. I just wanted to say it.
So that's it. The soul salvation. That is it. That is it. Soul foundation. Soul foundation. It's the Moorish Science Temple of America. We have any questions? Anybody got any statements or anything before we close out? And as usual, we will remain here. If we have questions, we can answer them before we go on. And keep in mind that we're not going home when we leave here. Some people may go out to eat. And everybody's welcome.
Yeah.
We will bombard somebody's establishment. Islam.
Islam. We'll rise and face the east. Allah,
Allah,
Father of the universe,
Father of the universe,
Father of love,
Father of love,
truth,
truth,
peace,
peace,
freedom,
freedom,
and justice.
and justice.
Allah is my protector,
Allah is my protector,
my guide,
my guide,
and my salvation.
and my salvation.
By night
By night
and by day.
and by day.
Through his holy prophet,
Through the prophet,
Drew Ali.
True Ali.
Remain for one more, the prophet's prayer. Allah bind our hearts and minds back to our ancient forefathers' divine creed and principles, This we ask in our holy name, in the Sabbath Elohim. Amen.
Amen.
Assalamu alaikum.
Islam.